Hello everyone, welcome back again to another tutorial. My name is Dorothy. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to sew this beautiful dress you're seeing on your screen. In my previous video, we did everything drafting. So in this video, I'm going to show us how to put all the pieces together to create this beautiful dress. So if this is something you're interested in, make sure you watch this video to the very end so that you don't miss out on any details or information. Now let's get started with the video. So guys, this is my front piece, and what I did, I cut a facing for it. So I'll be using this facing to turn the neckline. So I just place my facing on the neckline like this. I arrange everything properly just the way you see me doing. Now I'm going to head over to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch the neckline with the facing together just the way you see me directing. And this is what I have after I was done stitching the facing on the dress neckline. I hope you can see how I stitched this together. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to use my scissors to notch the neckline so that by the time I turn this over to the right side, the neckline is going to sit properly. So go ahead and do the same thing. Make sure you always notch your neckline, especially when you use facing to turn it. It will give your neckline a very clean finishing. After notching, I'm going to turn this facing over like this, and after I was done turning it over, I'm going to head over to my ironing table and iron the two pieces together. Ironing this will give our neckline a very neat finishing. So let me go over to my ironing table and do this. And what I did behind the camera, I took all these pieces to the market to weave. So guys, this is what I have after I was done weaving all my pieces, and these are my back piece. So what I'm going to do to my back neckline, I'm going to be using this bias tape to pipe the neckline. So I'll place the bias tape on the neckline like this. I'll first of all go and stitch this together. After I'm done stitching this together, I'm going to fold the bias in like this twice. Then I'm going to make a top stitch on it, and I'll do the same thing to the second side of the back piece. Okay, I'll place the bias tape just the way you see me doing. Then I'll stitch that together first. Then after that, I'm going to make a double fold and stitch it again. I hope you guys know how to fix a bias tape. So it's the same way I am going to do mine right now. So guys, this is what I have after I was done ironing the neckline. You can see how it's sitting very beautiful and clean. And also I am done piping the both back piece neckline. You can see how neat it also looking. Now what I'm going to do next, I'm going to place the both back pieces together, right side facing each other. Make sure you take your time and arrange both pieces together. Let everything be equal. Now I'm going to mark the zipper allowance that I left. So from the neckline, I went on to mark the 1 inch zipper allowance all the way to the point where I want my slit to start. So after marking my zipper allowance, I'm just going to use my chalk to connect the points together like this. Then I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to run a temporal stitch first. I will fix the zipper later. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the zipper allowance, and I also went on to iron it. And after I was done with that, I joined both the front and the back pieces together. Then I used my office pin to hold it together. Now let's work on the shoulder. To sew the both shoulder, you're just going to place both the front and the back shoulder together, right side facing each other. After that, you're going to use the facing of the front shoulder to cover up for the back shoulder. Then you can use your office pin to hold it together just the way you see me doing, or you can take it over directly to your sewing machine and sew it. I hope you can see what I am doing. After that, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I will sew this, and I will do the same thing to the second shoulder. I will simply place the both shoulder together, right side facing each other, that is the front and the back shoulder. Then I will use the facing of the front shoulder to cover up for the back. Then I'll take it over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch this by 1/2 inch. This way the shoulder will have an inseam finishing. But before I do that, let me join the both bodies together so that I will sew everything at once. So I arranged both the front and the back pieces together, and as you can see, I've already used my office pin to hold it together. You can now take this over to the sewing machine and sew the both side by the 1 inch or any allowance that you left. But for the sake sake of my beginners, I'm just going to take the body measurements. So here on the chest line or on the bust point, you're just going to divide your bust circumference measurement by 2 and you're going to mark it on both sides. Then on the waistline, you're going to do the same thing as well. You'll simply divide your waist circumference measurement by 2 and you're going to mark it on both sides. Then here on the hip line, you will do the same thing. You will divide your hip measurement by 2 and you'll mark it on both sides, just the way you see me doing. And likewise, you're going to do the same thing on the length of the dress. After doing all that, you're now going to use your chalk to connect all the points together. Then we'll head over to the sewing machine and join the bodies. So now I'll be sewing the shoulder and also sewing the bodies together. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the shoulder. You can see that I have an inseam finishing when I turn it over to the right face. There is no rough edges. You can see how neat it looks. And I also went on to join the side of the dress. Let me turn this over to the right side so that you see what it looks like. After turning this over to the right side, the next thing I went on to do is to open up my zipper allowance so that I will be able to fix the zipper. I will be using an invisible zipper for this dress. If you know me very well, you will know that I prefer to use invisible zipper for corporate dress. So I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to fix my zipper. This is what I have after I was done fixing my zipper. Now let me turn this over to the right side. This is what I have it looking like after turning this over to the right side. You can see how neat it is. Now I'm going to keep this aside while we work on the sleeve. So guys, here are my sleeves. So what I am going to do now is to hem the edge of the sleeve. Because I already weaved the sleeve, it has become more easier for me to hem the length. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to fold it in like this and I'm going to run it stitch all around, and I'll do the same thing to the second piece as well. This is what I have after I was done hemming the length of the sleeve, and I also did the same thing to the second piece as well. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to fix the sleeve on the dress. But before I do that, I'm going to notch the midpoint of the sleeve, that is the sleeve cap. So I folded my sleeve into 2 like this. I make sure that the edges are equal and everything is equal. Then I use my scissors to notch the sleeve cap. I will do the same thing to the second sleeve. I will simply fold the sleeve into 2 like this, arrange the both edges, make sure that everything is equal. Then I will use my scissors to notch the sleeve cap like this. Now let's fix the sleeve on the dress. But before I do that, I have to open up the armhole a little bit because the sleeve is going to reach that point. Now to fix the sleeve, I'm just going to place the notch point of the sleeve on this shoulder joining like this. I'm going to arrange the sleeve around the dress armhole like this. After that, I will take this over to the sewing machine and I will stitch it. This is what I have after I was done fixing the sleeve around the dress armhole. I had excess, so I'm just going to use my scissors to trim it out. After I was done trimming out the excess, I'm just going to arrange the sleeve side and also the armhole of the dress that I lost, just like this. Okay, then I'm just going to mark where I am going to sew the sleeve up to. From the thumbnail, you can see that the sleeve has a slit on the side. From the armhole to this point where I mark where the slit will start, I had 10 inches. I'm sorry my hand is blocking the camera, but what I measured was 10 inches. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side of the sleeve. I'm just going to measure from the armhole to the 10 inches where the slit is going to start from. After marking the point, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to join the side. So this is what I have after I was done joining the side. To finish up the slits, I'm just going to turn this over to the wrong side. So on this rough edge, that is this slit side, I'm just going to fold it in and I'm going to use my helming gum to iron it down, and I will do the same thing to the other side of the sleeve. I hope you can see what I am doing. Now I'm going to use my pressing iron and helming gum to hem the edges down. Or better still, you can just fold in and make a top stitch on it. But to have a very clean finishing, I will advise that to use helming gum to hem that part. This is what I have after I was done using helming gum to hem the edges. You can see how neat it's looking. So guys, we are basically done with the making of this dress. I think the only thing I didn't show or I forgot to film was the helming part, which I have already done in this part. So the last thing we are going to do to bring the dress to life, just like what you saw on the thumbnail, is the beading. So I have my beads here, although this bead is not much. This is how much I can get in the market. I search for bead. God, let's just continue. And I also have my needle and thread here. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to measure from this point to this point, and I had 6 inches. Now let's bead. I'm going to use my needle and thread and tack this edge right here. This edge, I'm just going to tack it the way you see me doing. And after I am done tacking, I'm going to fill up the thread with the bead. Go ahead and do the same thing. Tack your needle and thread on one side, just the way you see me doing. After that, go ahead and fill up the thread with the bead. If you are done filling the thread with bead, go ahead and measure it. If it's the 6 inches measurement you had. When I measured this, I had almost 9 inches, so I have to reduce the bead. So if you discover that your bead is more than the actual measurement you are working with, go ahead and reduce it. After reducing the bead, I went on to measure it again. If it's the 6 inches that I'm working with, but it's still more, so I have to reduce few bead from it. You can do this as many times as possible just to get the accurate measurement you are working with. After getting the accurate measurement, I'm just going to tack my needle and thread on this other edge like this. Tie this as many times as possible for it to remain firm. Once you are done, cut the remaining part of the rope, and that's pretty much about it. Now for the sleeve, my bead was not enough to cover up for one sleeve, talk more of the both sleeve. I tried to create something, but the idea was not making any sense, so I ended up not beading the sleeve. If you watch from the beginning of the video, that is the intro, you will see that there is no bead on the sleeve. That is because my bead was not enough. This is the remaining bead. You can see that it's very small. So I just leave it like that. We are basically done with the making of this dress, and this is what the dress actually looks like. If you watched this video to this point, thank you so much. I hope you find this video really helpful, and if you did, do well by giving this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do well to hit the subscribe button, turn on your bell notification to get notified when I drop a new video. For now, bye. I will see you all in my next video.